yourself.
9 months ago, American tennis player Caty McNally was ranked number 1,020 in the world, not 102 or even 210, but 1,020. She was battling through low-level ITF futures tournaments, often performing in front of only a few dozen spectators, fighting through qualifying rounds just to keep her professional career alive after undergoing elbow surgery. That journey is important to remember before we even mention Alex Eala, because it explains why the next match in Toronto deserves far more attention than many people realize. Fast forward to this week, and McNally has completed one of the most remarkable turnarounds in recent memory by defeating the reigning Wimbledon champion, transforming herself from an overlooked underdog into one of the biggest stories of the tournament. With that context in mind, Alex Eala also took care of business on Wednesday, defeating Alicia Parks 6-1, 4-6, 6-2 to reach the third round of the National Bank Open. On paper, it looks like a solid, professional victory and a satisfying revenge win against a player who had beaten her earlier this year at the Australian Open. But the scoreline doesn't tell the whole story. Many expected this to be a straightforward redemption match after Parks claimed their previous meeting 6-3, 6-2 in January, and Eala certainly looked ready for that challenge from the very beginning. She dominated the opening set 6-1 with outstanding depth, smart shot selection, and complete control from the center of the court, displaying the same confident brand of tennis that carried her to the Washington title just 2 weeks ago. However, the momentum shifted in the second set as Parks began attacking earlier, striking flatter, more aggressive ground strokes, and earning a crucial service break before taking the set 6-4. Instead of cruising to victory, Eala was forced into a deciding set where she quickly regained control and closed out the match 6-2. That temporary dip in the second set shouldn't be ignored because it exposed a pattern that could become much more significant in the next round. Players who step inside the baseline, take the ball early, and hit with pace can create uncomfortable moments for Eala, and that's a detail worth remembering as this tournament progresses. So the real story isn't simply that Alex Eala advanced to the third round. It's that she won while revealing a small tactical vulnerability that her next opponent may try to exploit. At the very same time, on the grandstand court, another dramatic storyline was unfolding, one that would unexpectedly determine who stands across the net from Eala in her next challenge. Linda Noskova arrived in Toronto just 3 weeks after lifting the prestigious Venus Rosewater dish at Wimbledon, ready to begin her hard-court campaign as a newly crowned Grand Slam champion. Instead, she walked into one of the biggest surprises of the tournament. Standing across the net was Caty McNally, a player many underestimated despite her remarkable comeback story, and from the opening games it looked as though Noskova would cruise to victory. McNally quickly fell behind 5-1 in the first set against a player who had just defeated Karolina Muchova to capture the Wimbledon title, a deficit that usually signals the beginning of the end. But instead of fading away, she produced an extraordinary turnaround, reeling off 6 consecutive games to force a tiebreak before sealing the set by winning 4 of the final 6 points on Noskova's own serve. Even more impressive, after spending so much energy climbing back from the brink, McNally didn't slow down. She completely took over the second set, racing to a dominant 6-1 victory while Noskova managed to land barely a third of her first serves. This wasn't simply an upset. It was a powerful statement that the injuries which threatened McNally's career had never taken away her competitive spirit. Yet the most fascinating part of this story isn't the emotional comeback itself, it's how that difficult journey has fundamentally reshaped her game. After spending nearly a year and a half recovering from a torn UCL and rebuilding her elbow, McNally couldn't return by playing exactly the same style. She had to evolve, relying less on constant power and more on creativity, precision, and intelligent point construction to reduce the physical strain on her arm. That transformation is now evident every time she steps onto the court. She mixes in low, skidding backhand slices that disrupt an opponent's rhythm, changes the pace with soft touch shots, and looks to finish points at the net instead of engaging in endless baseline exchanges. Those tactical adjustments proved incredibly effective at Wimbledon, where she became the only player in the tournament to take a set off the eventual champion by constantly mixing slices, attacking behind well-timed approach shots, and finishing with confident volleys that opponents struggled to anticipate. And that's exactly why her upcoming clash with Alex Eala is so intriguing. Eala's game thrives on rhythm and pace. She is at her best when opponents give her a fastball to redirect, allowing her to absorb their power, generate heavy topspin, and dictate rallies with explosive forehands that consistently produce spin rates well above the WTA average. Against players who provide that rhythm, Eala can look almost unstoppable. But McNally offers something completely different. Rather than feeding pace into Eala's strike zone, she disrupts timing, changes speeds, and forces opponents to create their own power. After watching Eala briefly struggle against Alicia Parks whenever the pace and timing shifted, this next matchup suddenly becomes far more complicated than many fans may expect, turning it into one of the most fascinating tactical battles still left in the tournament. We already caught a glimpse of that challenge against Alicia Parks when the American began flattening out her ground strokes and taking valuable time away during the second set. For a brief stretch, Alex Eala's footwork became a fraction slower, her preparation shortened, and her normally perfect contact point drifted closer to her body instead of out in front where she does her best work. That was a problem created by pace. Caty McNally presents something entirely different. She isn't a pace problem, she's a rhythm problem, and those are two completely different tactical puzzles. In many ways, disrupting rhythm is even harder to solve during a match because you can't simply swing harder or adjust your positioning by a step or two. McNally forces opponents to play uncomfortable tennis, denying them the steady tempo they rely on to build confidence. There may not be a perfect historical comparison for this matchup, but there are certainly echoes of the past. Think back to the early 2000s, when several of the game's biggest power hitters repeatedly struggled against players who relied on slices, variety, and serve and volley tactics rather than engaging in baseline exchanges. Justine Henin built much of her legendary success by embracing exactly those unfashionable weapons whenever the matchup demanded them, using low, skidding backhand slices and subtle changes of pace to completely disrupt opponents who depended on rhythm. Those shots may not have looked spectacular, but they were devastating because players who thrive on rhythm become vulnerable the moment that rhythm disappears. Whether by choice or as a consequence of rebuilding her game after elbow surgery, McNally has developed a similarly unconventional style in an era dominated by first-strike power tennis. She mixes slices, changes speeds, attacks the net, and constantly forces her opponents to hit uncomfortable shots from awkward positions. That isn't nostalgia, it's a genuine tactical challenge waiting for Eala on Saturday. And there's another factor that changes the entire outlook of this match. At first glance, it seemed obvious that Eala would enjoy the physical advantage after winning her second-round match in a relatively efficient 3 sets, while McNally endured an exhausting 3-hour emotional battle to eliminate the reigning Wimbledon champion. Normally, that would suggest fresher legs and a clear edge for Eala. But the schedule changes everything. Both players now receive the exact same recovery window before stepping back on court, with 2 full days to recover physically and mentally. That's more than enough time for McNally to reset after such a demanding performance. The physical fatigue fades, but the confidence gained from producing one of the biggest comebacks of the tournament can last much longer. Coming back from 5-1 down against a reigning Grand Slam champion in front of a crowd expecting her to lose isn't just another victory. It creates belief that can completely transform the way a player competes. That confidence could become the hidden variable in this matchup. While Eala spent an entire set searching for answers against Parks after briefly losing control of the match, McNally enters Saturday fueled by the conviction that she can overcome almost any situation. It's a psychological edge that many previews are overlooking, yet it may prove just as important as any statistic or tactical adjustment once the first ball is struck. This isn't the familiar story of a battle-weary underdog facing a well-rested favorite. Instead, it's a matchup between a player riding the emotional high of the biggest victory of her comeback and another who, despite advancing, briefly revealed the exact tactical weakness that could be tested in the next round. That said, Alex Eala still has a genuine advantage, and it comes down to one critical factor: depth. Caty McNally's slice-heavy style creates endless variety and constantly disrupts an opponent's rhythm, but it doesn't naturally produce the penetrating depth of a heavy, flat baseline game. If Eala can resist the temptation to simply redirect pace that isn't there and instead generate her own offense by stepping inside the baseline, attacking short slices early, and taking the ball on the rise before it drops, she can turn McNally's greatest strength into an opportunity. The real challenge will be patience. Rather than looking for quick winners, Eala must be prepared to build rallies carefully, constructing points until the right opening appears. That's not always her natural instinct when an opponent refuses to give her rhythm, which makes her decision-making especially important. Even the opening return games could shape the entire match. McNally's serve isn't overwhelming in terms of raw speed, but its disguise fits perfectly with the unpredictable style she now plays. She mixes locations well, keeping opponents uncertain with wide kick serves and flatter deliveries down the tee. Eala cannot afford to hesitate on the return because even a moment of indecision against a player built on variety is enough to leave her constantly half a step behind. Exactly the issue that briefly surfaced during the second set against Alicia Parks. If you're looking for an early tactical clue, pay close attention to Eala's cross-court forehand in the opening games. If she immediately begins using that shot to push McNally deep into the deuce court before opening space on the ad side and preventing her from moving forward to the net, it will suggest that Eala's team has identified the rhythm disruption challenge and prepared a clear response. In that scenario, I would favor Eala to come through in 3 competitive sets. However, if the rallies become long, passive baseline exchanges with Eala waiting for pace that never arrives, the momentum could swing the other way. That's the version of the match where McNally's remarkable comeback story gains another unforgettable chapter, with a player who recently sat outside the world's top 60, eliminating both a reigning Grand Slam champion and a WTA 1000 finalist in the same tournament. At the moment, I still lean slightly toward Eala, but only by the narrowest margin. The biggest reason is what she has demonstrated over the past 3 months: an impressive ability to recognize problems during a match, make intelligent tactical adjustments, and raise her level under pressure. For a player her age, that adaptability has become one of her greatest strengths, and it may ultimately be the difference in what promises to be one of the most intriguing tactical battles of the tournament.